Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be why women become cold and unaffectionate. Got an email here from a viewer. He's having problems with his wife. He says, "Hi Corey, my wife and I have been married for 15 years and we've got 3 young boys. We are both equally attractive and fit and so far have done quite well together and the sex has been incredible all the way. However, there is a key problem. She lacks any real affection and is changing her ways." Now, I saw in one of your videos, and you mentioned how you yourself never experienced affection from your parents. Her situation is identical, but her parents hated each other. How can I get affection from a gorgeous woman who has never shown affection, but I know has the potential, but lacks motivation or understanding? Well, a simple answer is you can ask her to tell her the kind of affection you want. I did an article a while back called Rate Me, R-A-T-E, Rate Me. And it's a great technique that you can do with your girlfriend or wife and get together once a week. And as you're sitting there having your morning coffee or your vegetable juice or chilling out on a Sunday, you basically go over how you guys have been in a relationship together for the past week. In other words, how was I? And so, in other words, you ask your wife, how was I as a husband the past week? On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you put me as? And if she says, well, you were a 7 out of 10, well, then your question should be, I was a 7 out of 10, so what would I have done differently this past week that would have caused you to have said, oh, you were absolutely 10 this week? And let her tell you. And then vice versa. You have her do the same thing. You say, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as a wife, you were a 6, and it's because of blah, 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 and blah. And she'll say, well, what would I have to do differently? Well, and then you tell her what you'd like to do differently. And the whole purpose of a relationship is you go there to give. You're there to meet each other's needs and to help each other grow and become more. Now, the thing that you got to understand about people and their nature is that your particular wife, you guys have been together for 15 years, and you said yourself that she's never been an affectionate person. So it's a type of thing, it's a behavior that it's really, for the most part, kind of foreign to her. But obviously you've got to ask, you've got to tell her what it is that you want, because there's just some women out there that are not affectionate women, and there's other women that touch everybody. And it's kind of hard to tell, because you might initially think, oh, wow, this girl really likes me, this girl really's into me. And then as you watch her and you observe her working the room, you notice that she's got her hands on everybody, and that's just the way she is. And so you have to look at those things, because some women just, like I said, aren't very affectionate, and the only way she would do it is if she actually thinks about it. And it's the type of thing where if she really loves you and she really cares about you, and both of you are focused on meeting each other's needs, and she's trying to make an effort, then great. But like I said, the thing you got to consider is that because she grew up in an environment, you've been with this woman for 15 years, I would not expect that all of a sudden, if you've been with her for 15 years, that she's all of a sudden going to become an affectionate woman, even if you ask her, even if you tell her. Now, the flip side is what would the other reasons be that she may have gone from being affectionate to not affectionate at all? Well, when that happens, if she was once a very affectionate woman at a period of time in your relationship, she was all over you, because usually when women have a really high level of interest that's in the 90% range and above, which is where they're in love with you, they pretty much want to be with you all the time. They're always sitting in your lap. They're wanting to be held by you. They want to hold hands with you. They want to be near you. When you're sitting on the couch, they want to come over and sit next to you and put their head on your shoulder. It's just they always want to have their hands on you. They always want to be kissing you, loving on you, touching on you. But as the interest drops, that's one of the first things that disappears is the affection. And the reason being is she's just not as sexually, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually as into you as she once was. And that's why she would be that way. And so if there were periods of time in your marriage over the past 15 years where she was affectionate and she's no longer that way, then obviously if she's been that way at points in your marriage but she isn't that way now, then it's obviously because her interest level in you has dropped. And obviously it's because there's things you're not doing or things that you are doing and saying that are turning her off, and you're not doing enough of the things that actually turn a woman on and create attraction, which I discuss in my book. So he says, I have exhibited alpha male traits since we first met, and I have always naturally been this way, but to no avail in my situation at times because of her traumatic childhood. Her father was an alcoholic and abusive person who also shared similar traits. Alpha male is like, some guys have the impression that alpha male is a dickhead. That's not what it was. I did a very detailed video the other day on what an alpha male is and how a man can develop it. Alpha male versus beta male. Alpha male is just dominant type of behavior. It doesn't mean you're a control freak and you beat people up that don't agree to your point of view. That's not it at all. And so that's kind of a myth in society. When you say the word alpha, people think, oh, well, it's just a guy who's a control freak asshole and he doesn't get along with anybody. He treats people harshly. He's a jerk to everybody. And that's not it at all. That's not what I teach in my book. So he says, I've never myself been excessively violent or physically abusive towards her. And also, I've just finished studying architecture for the past 8 years because I am a very success-driven person. I must admit that I have never shown her affection either because I was simply too busy to notice when she attempted to chase me for it. So in other words, at one time in the past, she was very affectionate and you just kind of really never paid much attention because she was more into you at that particular time than you were into her. And so she was chasing, she was pursuing you, she was touching you. So now we know that obviously your wife is somebody who's been affectionate in the past and who's not affectionate anymore. And so obviously that tells me that obviously you're fucking up in the relationship because she obviously had her hands all over you at one point in the relationship and now she doesn't. So there are things that you've done and said or have failed to do and say in your relationship that has caused her attraction level to drop. And the simple answer is if you'd been doing everything right, she'd still have her hands all over you and be all over you like white on rice, and you wouldn't be writing me in the first place. So I know it's obviously, since you're the guy writing me and she's no longer doing something that she used to do, then obviously it's because of your behavior needs to change. He says, basically I was never there for her, but now all of a sudden I am because I have time on my hands and I secretly yearn for her affection too, even though I've been too blind to notice. Now after all these years, I guess she's become numb to our emotional status when she was once always doting on me. She recently found herself a job in the family violence industry, and he says, I read most of what she learns in there basically is like an ignore your husband. He says now all of a sudden she thinks she's a changed person and I need to change my ways, etc. Bear in mind that I gave her vital support to her success in her studies with essays, writing, etc. None of that shit really matters. Here's the deal where I don't really need to read any further because I've learned enough. And so what's going on is when a woman, your wife went from being this feminine, beautiful, sexy woman to the point where she was shut down by you emotionally for such a long, extended period of time that now she's getting involved like these, like you say here, these other feminist group and hardcore women that are kind of pissed off at men in some ways, and it's changing her attitude and she's becoming harder and colder. And the reason being is that she is moved from being in her feminine energy to more into her masculine energy, and therefore these masculine traits are coming out. And so what's going on is she's starting to basically act more like a man because you haven't acted like enough of a man. You haven't stayed in your masculine enough and handled the things that a man is supposed to handle. And where you've gone wrong is where pretty much 99% of the guys that go wrong in their marriage or long-term relationships that write me is you stopped dating and courting your wife. You got busy, you got complacent, you got caught up in your career. Whatever the reason was, it doesn't really matter at this point. The bottom line is that you stop putting your best foot forward at some point in time in the relationship, and therefore she is now moved out of her feminine energy and more into her masculine because you're not taking care of things that you should be taking care of as a man in a relationship. And that's why a woman becomes bitchy, is because now she's no longer comfortable in her natural essence, because feminine energy is about opening up to receive love. And when women are in that very highly polar masculine feminine type of relationship, they want the guy to handle all the details, and therefore they can just show up and look hot and have a great time, and the guy takes care of the details. But when you rely on the woman to take care of most of the details or give her the power basically in the relationship, she's going to resent it, And probably in a lot of ways she feels like she's kind of lost herself, lost her own identity in the relationship, because she spent a lot of time sacrificing who she was in order to be what she thought she needed to be in order to make you happy. And now at this point she feels like you're no longer romancing her and courting her like you once did when you guys were younger together. And now she's like, fuck it, well, I'm going to take care of myself then. I'm going to take care of making myself happy, because obviously my husband is not going to do it. So my advice to you would be to read my book, because when you read it and you go through it, all the light bulbs are going to go off in your head. You're going to see a lot of the little behaviors that you're doing and things that you're saying and doing wrong that's obviously turning her off. And if you really want to get things turned around quickly, I would recommend you book a paid phone coaching session by going to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen on my website, and just follow the instructions. If you want to get a digital version of my Kindle ebook, on my website underneath the email sign-up box is a box that has a link that will take you right to the Amazon Kindle download page for my book. And once you get there, if you don't have a Kindle device, just download one of their free e-reader apps for whatever electronic device you want to read my ebook on. And if you appreciate the value of the information I offer in these video newsletters, the articles on my website, or my ebook, you can show your appreciation right now by going to my website, and on the Wibia toolbar at the bottom of your screen, click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information. And I will talk to you soon.